All right, last but not least, this is the fourth of the 4 competitive decks that I reconstructed last year that I never got around to making videos of. Luckily, this time I have a nice light setup and a nice camera that I did not have at the time. So that's a really good thing. Okay, so let's get to Machina. All right, so Machina, the Machine Lord, J activates with 4 colorless mana, or will. And for X, you search for an additional resonator with that cost, and then you put it into your hand, shuffle your deck, and you play it once per turn. So basically, this thing goes in, you have maybe like 1 will, okay, you search for something for 1. Second turn, you search for something for 2. Search for 3, search for 4. Okay, so you got 4 things, or maybe you got 3 things. You deactivate for 4. When you turn it over, it's an 800-800. It doesn't have flying, it's just an 800-800. And then when it enters your field, you may put up to 3 resonators and or additions with no attribute. What does it mean to have no attribute? It means it's one of these dudes, no attribute. Okay, so it would be what's called an artifact in Magic. Okay, into your field, boom, drop them. So you did a 1, a 2, and a 3. You drop a 1, a 2, and a 3 for free when you deactivate this dude. That's great. You may banish a resonator with no attribute, so one of those 3, and you can prevent all damage that would be dealt to this card. The God's Art, which you do only once, and it's called Invincible Soldiers, for 3 resonators with no attribute you controlled cannot be destroyed this turn. So once a game, you will save yourself from a board wipe. So your opponent's going to have to try to board wipe you a second time at some other time in the game. So that's Machina, and I've been pretty lucky with my pulls. I think I've pulled 2 more of this card, and I pulled at least one that has a stamp that goes very cleanly into one of my presentation books. Okay, so that's the ruler. I'll set it aside and go through the deck. This deck is in a playlist. The previous 3 decks, I discussed many of these cards, some of the cards. This one's going to be a longer video because of all these cards, because there are machines, are not in any of the previous 3 decks. So the first 2 were Reflect Refrain, 1 red and 1 black mostly. The third was a Xion deck, and this Machina deck is its own little beast. Okay, it doesn't have a ton of regalia either. So it's only got 1 Levitating, which I've discussed previously. It also has, 2 Levitines, a Horn, which I think you would use to set your opponent back to 0 will in the field. And then it's got 2 play sets of dorks, mana dorks that would be called in Magic. They're really will dorks in Force of Will, 4 moon mana. Okay, so you can get moon out of these dudes. Okay, so there's 4 of Moonbreeze Elf, and it cannot be attacked, and when you tap it, you produce moon mana. It's only a 1/4, not very strong. And then another 1-drop, Wind Sprite, which it's just a fairy 2/2, and all it does is a mana dork, and you're going to use it for the mana dork ability. Okay. Okay, so then it's got 4 Maribels. I love this card. I love the design. Every time I pull a foil, I'm happy. Every time I pull a non-foil, I'm also happy. So it's a great card. And if your J Ruler would be dealt damage, prevent 200 of it. It's just stapled on it. It doesn't cost you anything. Then for 5, but it costs 2 less if you're on a Machina build. So for 3, this card becomes a 1,000 machine resonator until end of turn. It's still a regalia. Okay? Or for 1 and tap it, banish it, and you destroy target regalia. That's pretty good, and it is not currently banned that I know. Okay, so then let's go through all the resonators that are have no attribute. Okay, this is your 2-drop. So you've got a 2-drop, you've got a 5-drop, you've got another 2-drop, you've got a 3-drop, a 4-drop, a 5-drop, and then a 1-drop. And then another 3-drop, and then just a Just a blessed holy wolf. Okay, so let's go through the one drop first. They're not exactly will order, but roughly as you saw. All right, so then the dummy doll is your one drop. This is the one you're going to fetch on your first turn when you have will. It's got a stealth ability. When a machine you control becomes targeted by spells or abilities your opponent controls, while this card is in your chance standby area, you may play it without paying its mana cost. Its cost, I'm sorry. All right. So when this card enters your field from the chance standby area, cancel target spell or ability targeting a machine you control. And if you do, draw a card. So this thing's you're gonna pay 2 and put it in your chance standby. And there's 2 of them. And you can get them the first time. You can tutor for them, right? Let me just get the card right before I go on and blabber about. Yeah. So the X is your tutoring. So if you don't pull it in your hand, you still can go get it with Machina, which is nice. Okay. So then 3 of this 2 drop, the Machine Lab, which is not a resonator. It's a machine, an addition for machines. When this card enters your field, put target machine with total cost 2 or less from your graveyard into your field. So it recovers machines as they get clobbered. That's nice. Then a full playset of small assistant Mariabella. It's got a wall of text. Doesn't have stealth. It's just got a wall of text. When it's put into a graveyard from your field, you may search your deck for a card named Maribel the Steel Doll. So this was, let me get it, this card, Maribel the Steel Doll. Or Maribel, an insane self-aware machine. Interesting. Yeah, that's the Steel Doll. Then shuffle your main deck. Put it into your hand, shuffle your main deck. Remove this card in your graveyard from the game. Produce 2 of no color will. Spend it only to play activate abilities of Maribel the Steel Doll or Maribel Insane Self-Aware Machine. Nice. And it's a 2/5/5. Okay. Then 3 of Maribel Insane Self-Awareness Machine. There it is. And it's got Pierce. Is Pierce when you can attack your opponent directly? I'm going to say it is. Sounds like it. 1. Rest another recovered resonator you control. This card gains +X+Y, where X is that of the resonator's attack and Y is its defense. Okay. And this card gains that resonator's symbol skills until end of turn. Okay. Symbol skills. I have to look up what exactly that term means. Symbol skills. I hope it means its abilities. I don't know. Then the TikTok Assistant is a 3-drop. When it's put into a graveyard from your field, reveal cards from the top of your main deck until you reveal a machine with total cost 2 or less. I'm sorry, with exactly total cost 2. Put it into your field and shuffle the rest into your main deck. That's good. So it's a recoverer for your 2 drops. Then a playset of this 4-drop from Battle for Ataraxia. So that's good. It's nice to have BFA cards in these, and this one's also a BFA card because Battle for Ataraxia as a booster pack needs help. So there you go. It's good for your machine decks. You may pay 1 less to play this card for each machine you control. That's great. You can cast it for 0 if you have 4 machines on the board. And it's an 800/800. Doesn't fly, but it does have 800/800. And then a play set of this dude, March of the Machine Lord, which is a chant. It's not a resonator. You may pay 1 less to play this card for each resonator with no attribute you control. So this is like Affinity. All right, this is just like Affinity in Magic. It's got Affinity. And resonators with no attribute you control gain +3/+3 and swiftness until end of turn. That's very nice. It's a big end of game boost because it's going to cost you 5, but it may cost you a lot less with the Affinity. It can cost you 0. That's really nice. Really nice. And then for the main deck, the Wolf that I already talked about in a previous video, and Dark Machina Gliding Shadow. It's a 3-drop resonator 4/4. When it enters your field, search your main deck for a card with no attributes, which is any one of your machines. Reveal it and put it into your hand. They shuffle your any card. It doesn't have a will restriction. That's pretty nice. And then when it comes to it's a wind-based will base. Keep calling it mana base. And this one produces green wind, or you pay a wind and it gives you any of the other 4. It's kind of weird. Why would you put a wind to generate a wind? I don't get that. But either way, you can get the other 4 types of will, and it's just 10. And then your sideboard, for which being the 4th deck, I'm going to be hard pressed to not have covered any one of the cards, so I'll just go through it very quickly. So it's got a Horn of Sacred Beast, another Wolf, a Moonbeam, two last drops. Oh, I haven't discussed this card. Final Forfeit. Target J Resonator loses all abilities and control, and cannot gain abilities until end of turn. So it'll mute something. This card, which I have not talked about before either, King Sense, cancel target normal spell. And I hear normal spells anything that's not a resonator. That's what I hear. Or destroy target card in a chance standby area. Nice. Very nice. And then this dude, which I pulled a gigantically beautiful foil in one of my family trips when I cracked a box of BFA. 2000 with affinity. So you may pay 1 less to play this card for each machine you control, and it cannot be destroyed. It's a gigantic 10-drop, but hopefully you're going to have a lot of machines on the board when you cast it. And then finally, and this is the end of my marathon, and my SD card is running low, and this guy destroys target fire resonator. I hope you've enjoyed these 4 decks that I discussed. This is the last one, Machina. Thank you.